to the EasyRoughEstimator.com demo details. What we are going to go over are demo details for not only the bathroom but also the kitchen areas. All the entries will relate to both, even though we're describing them here in the bathroom area. To remove cabinets, you want to get a linear footage number. And so what you would do is you would measure the linear footage of cabinets, which this is 6 feet. And so your entry to remove cabinetry would be 6 feet. Same with counters. You would measure the linear footage. So the linear footage of this counter is 6 feet. So that would be your entry for removing counters as well. Sink removal, faucet removal, that's self-explanatory. How many ever sinks you have in here and wanted to remove, you would make those entries accordingly. When I take out this counter, you will affect this wall mirror. And so you would use this, removing a wall mirror would be a wall board entry, and that would also take the drywall underneath. Most of the mirrors will have glue on them and they will stick to the drywall. And when you try to take this out, you're going to damage the drywall underneath anyway. So you would strip this drywall out of here as well. And remember this, keep this in mind. Whatever you take out, you've got to put back. So in the wallboard section, you would have a drywall entry with the same square footage that would go back in to replace what you're demoing out. Any light fixtures, any receptacles, any switches that are in your way that need to come out, those would be entries that would be made accordingly as well. Now, let's talk about this. This is a tub. This is a fiberglass tub. Okay. If you were going to remove this tub and take this out, you would use the tub removal entry. All tubs, all fiberglass tubs, tuck back underneath the wallboard. So this tile backsplash would have to come out as well. So you'd have to use a square footage for demoing tile as well. Okay. And when this tile comes out, same as the mirror on the wall, you're going to be attached to the drywall, you're going to damage the drywall underneath, and so that drywall has to come out to the framing, to the 2x4 framing. So that would be removed, and you would have to put drywall back in when you go back in. So what happens is your demo details begin to define your project. So these are things to keep in mind as you walk through and you do decide what's coming out, what's going to be demoed, what's going to be removed. You are going to define what's going to go back in, what's going to be replaced. Okay, so those are things to keep in mind. Here is also an example of a fiberglass shower. You've got a shower door. This was going to be removed. Again, this is the same, similar application. Fiberglass, it wraps underneath the wallboard, so that has to be stripped down and removed. All the tile that goes around the upper area here is going to have to be removed and replaced if you wanted to demo this fiberglass shower. Okay, so those are things to keep in mind. And again, it's going to have, whatever you put back in there, whether it's drywall or whether it's tile, those entries would be made accordingly. Now, this particular wall, let's say we wanted to remove a wall. Okay, normally, this is the rear of the house, and this is the front of the house. Normally, and again, I say normally, when they construct a home, you have ceiling joists and floor joists that run front to back in a home. Okay, so these ceiling joists would run like this, front to back. And your bearing wall would be your rear wall, and then your wall to enter in the bathroom would be a bearing wall, because that's where your ceiling joist would extend to. So this particular wall is not going to be a bearing wall. This is a non-bearing wall because of that. Now, again, these are things you want to talk to your contractor with when you sit down and go over the project. And these are just some tips, things to keep in mind when you're deciding how you want to define your project. If you were going to take this non-bearing wall out, you would want to measure the square footage of this entire wall, including the door area. Okay, so you include that in the square footage, and you would also use the door removal entry as well for the door. So that has its own entry, and you would not deduct any square footage for that area. Just calculate the whole area of that wall coming out, and then you would go there. Again, this defines your project, because you're going to have, when this wall comes out, you're going to have a hole then that's remaining in the ceiling where you're going to have to do drywall patch. So drywall's going to have to go in the ceiling, and then also you're going to have to do remove and replace on the floor as well, because you're going to have a hole in the floor area. So that's going to need to be replaced. And again, the floor removal would be, you've got sheet goods. There's several entries in there that to choose from. Tile, if you're going to remove tile, use the tile entry, and those entries would be accordingly. So that pretty much wraps it up. Again, we're walking through the kitchen area. However, it also relates to the kitchen as well. I think the kitchen area has an appliance removal entry, which could be in an elaborate bathroom as well. I've seen some bathrooms with TVs that are in there that maybe would need to be removed or replaced or whatever. Again, the demo details begins to define your project. So whether you're in the bathroom or whether you're in the kitchen area, those are the things to keep in mind when you're doing your demo